What up, everybody? BMF Season 3, Episode 7 concluded with T's baby mama LaWanda having their second child, this time a little girl. But during this pregnancy, we got to witness the messy dynamics of two love triangles. As T finds himself in a love triangle between his baby mama LaWanda and Markeisha, while his parents find themselves in a similar situation as Lucille is stuck in a love triangle with her husband Charles and her high school sweetheart Maurice. At the time LaWanda went into labor, T was on a date with Markeisha and Lucille was on a date with Maurice. When LaWanda went into labor, she was at the Flannery household with Nicole. Nicole immediately called 911, but they were taking forever to show up. Because of that, Nicole found Dr. Maurice's card on Lucille's dresser and paged him for help as he was at dinner with her mother. Nikki also tried calling and paging Terry, but wasn't able to get a hold of him because Markeisha turned off his phone and beeper when she called. But I'm going to give Markeisha the benefit of the doubt and say that she didn't know that LaWanda was in labor and that she wasn't trying to stop T from missing the birth of his child, but she was simply trying to stop his baby mama from interrupting their date. But they were able to get a hold of T anyway by calling the diner. The problem being that T's cook gave him up and told LaWanda that he was with Markeisha. Keep it in mind that T has been hiding this relationship from LaWanda ever since him and Markeisha got back together. Not that they were separated for long, but after T bought Markeisha the house, she basically finessed T out of the house, saying that she doesn't think that they should be living together and making their relationship public like that. And T let Markeisha keep the house and went to get himself in an apartment with intentions of not seeing Markeisha anymore. Even going as far as telling LaWanda that he broke things off with Markeisha, that she wasn't worth risking his family. And he might have been serious about this too, but when Henry put the CPS on T and his family, LaWanda blamed it on Keisha, causing T to confront her, and the two hooked back up and been seeing each other again ever since, without LaWanda even knowing about it. At the same time, let's not forget why T moved on to Markeisha in the first place. T first saw Markeisha at Pat's party in Season 1, as she was there with her husband, Boom. T was also in a committed relationship with Wanda, but definitely liked what he saw, but didn't pursue Keisha at the time. But then Lucille and Wanda came up with the plan to try to get Terry out of the drug game by LaWanda leaving town to go to Pennsylvania to stay with her cousin, leaving T in Detroit alone for an unknown amount of time, but I'm guessing it was at least for a few months. So during those months, T was pretty much a single young man who had also lost feelings towards LaWanda because of his bitterness towards her from taking his son away from him like that. So at that point, he saw Markeisha at a basketball game, and since he saw himself as a single man, he started pursuing her by showing up at her job. But at the same time was when LaWanda returned to Detroit with Terry Jr. From the jump, T was definitely happy to see Terry Jr., but not so much LaWanda. Then, only to make things worse, Terry then overheard Lucille and LaWanda talking at the kitchen sink that her leaving was all a part of their plan to get Terry out of the drug game. So at this point, Terry was pretty much done with LaWanda, almost in a similar way how we saw Meech cut ties with Angel in Episode 6. But the difference being that T and LaWanda have children together, so he wasn't able to leave her alone completely, even though he lost interest in her. Then causing him to start seriously pursuing a relationship with Markeisha after. Getting me back to the birth of Terry's daughter. So as Maurice was in the Flannery living room, delivering T's daughter, Charles walked in from work only to see the man his wife was supposed to be out on a date with delivering his grandson, as him and Lucille kept gazing into one another's eyes. This had Charles big mad, but what could he do about it? Then T finally walked in after the baby was already born, only to find out that his cook gave him up and LaWanda didn't want nothing to do with him. Because T was getting upset around the newborn baby and LaWanda, Maurice told Terry to calm down. But he didn't just tell him to calm down, he called him son after, pissing Charles off all the more and telling Maurice that T wasn't his son. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying over the last couple days that Maurice might be T's father for real, but that is not true. First off, remember this is based off a true story. Second, remember T is the younger brother. So if they were saying Meech might be his son, I might consider this because the show is fictionalized. But for Maurice to be T's father would have meant that she cheated with Maurice at some point during her marriage with Charles. And we can see from their conversations that the two haven't seen each other since high school. But either though Charles is big mad about the whole situation, let's not forget about how Charles got here either. This is because in season 2, he decided to have an affair with Miss Mabel from across the street. Yes, we see Charles pulling out all the stops this season, trying to get his wife back, lifting weights, cooking dinner, and fixing the drywall. But it might be too little too late, either though Lucille is still physically attracted to Charles. But in season 2, even before Charles had an affair with Mabel, he wasn't trying to fix the walls or help Lucille cook or anything like that. Matter of fact, he was taking his talents over to Mabel's to fix her house before he even started having an affair with her. So now as Charles is trying to do right, I think Lucille's pretty much up on game and taking it all with a grain of salt, knowing that Charles is trying to win her back right now. And she isn't going to forget about the last couple years just because he's on his best behavior right now. And we see that both love triangles will be coming to a head in episode 7, as the trailer shows Wanda telling T that if he wants to be a daddy, then stay up all night and take care of his baby, and stop wandering in and out at his leisure to that ugly. While the trailer also shows T with Markeisha, and we know from season 2 episode 1, the fast forward from 2007, that T ends up with Markeisha as he was speaking to her on the phone and saying he was going to meet up with her in Mexico. So the big question is, what will happen with LaWanda? Will T get his baby mama and his girl to start getting along like Derrick Rose? Or will it be continual drama between the three? We do know that T is going to be getting paid a lot of money, and money answers all things, so it might be able to buy T peace between Keisha and Wanda. Charles and Lucille, on the other hand, it might be over for them, as Maurice is sending flowers and a note to Lucille at the house now. Maurice better watch himself before he finds himself getting beat down by Mr. Charles. But the trailer has Charles telling Lucille that it's always been us, and it's always going to be that way. With Lucille replying to Charles that she'll decide who she spends the rest of her life with. And the two also walking through an office, possibly the courthouse, about to get a divorce. Because we do know that the two are divorced in real life. But the problem is, I don't think that Maurice is the Prince Charming that Lucille thinks he is. And that she's going to end up getting played by Maurice. If I was guessing, I would say that Maurice most likely has a wife and his own family back home in Cleveland. So Lucille will end up getting a divorce, only to regret it after she gets played by Dr. Maurice. Getting me to Meech traveling to St. Louis to meet up with Jay Pusher and finding a new love interest while there, according to the episode 7 description. Meech's new love interest will be Kia. Kia is described as a crazy, cool tomboy and the only girl in her crew. She's not as deep as the boys' club, but when it's time to roll, she's down to roll. The character description reads, Kia is a former college athlete who's now on the streets in St. Louis. This is right after Meech just ended things with Angel back in Atlanta after she told him she heard Glock pays well when Meech told her that she couldn't come with him to St. Louis. But one thing to keep in mind regarding Meech and Kia's relationship is, according to season 1 and B. Mickey's relationship with Kato, it was a violation for them to be together, and Meech was forcing B. Mickey to end things with her even before he found out about her working with Lamar. So this might impact Meech and Kia being together long term, or he might have her get out the game if that's going to be his girl moving forward. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.